Hello YouTube and newsletter subscribers, this is Terrell from Terrell03.com. Today is March 17th, 2016. This is the Black Star Update Report for Volume 11 of Terrell's 2016 newsletter. The combination of seismic, volcanic, and magnetic pole migration indicators reveal what could be a disturbing pattern, requiring us to revisit the old forecasting model where the Black Star Earth crossing event may be possible for the 2016 Earth orbit cycle. I know this is a big change from what I've been saying, but this is what the data says. I haven't drawn definitive conclusions, don't know yet. We're going to have to use some hindsight, going to have to look backwards a little bit once we go farther into the future. But what I'm going to do is show you what the information says today. So now I'm in the regular pattern of showing you 2014, 15, and 16 together right here at the top for each week, so that you can recognize the pattern. What we saw for the last 2 years was our jolt value for the 6 magnitude earthquakes. We had a 5 and a 5. And the 6s, the 5 magnitude earthquakes, they were 25 for the 2014, 36 for last year. Now I'm looking at only 20. Low value. You see this 194 here? Those following the research, you guys know I was looking for a sub 200 value in the first week. And I've told you here recently, when I told you in January, for example, if we go forward and we get our sub value, we get our sub 200 value for these indicator quakes here, 2.54 magnitude, late, that means the black stars move more quickly left in the orbit diagram, and that we could be looking at something for 2016. Is that what's happening? You're not going to know from just 1 week of values, but I'm just saying, these values are really, really, really low. So I'm talking about the old modeling. I'm talking about the forecasting model that said May 2016. That's the way things look because in 2015, because I'm expecting, like Don, our astronomer's been expecting, the black star to increase velocity nearing perihelion. As it gets closer to the sun, it should be speeding up, but the magnetic repulsion model, the binary star repulsion model, says it should continue slowing down. So I got now 2 competing models, and like I said, we're going to know more as we're going forward. But also, you guys remember the 188-day cycle? That's what's supposed to be in play still. And it appears that this has been in play all the way back to 2004 with Sumatra, December 26, 2004. So when you take the number of days from the 2 Peruvian quakes we had, remember 7.6s? November 24th, and you go to the crossing date of May the 20th for this year, that's only 178 days. That's only 178 days. Now, these events on the backside have been running late. Still don't know why. We've been short on through the lull period and through the uptick period in the wintertime. We've been short the number of days. I have not been able to explain yet why these backside alignments have been happening late. And for example, 2015, this backside alignment event was Indonesian quake. It was on November the 15th. See, we only moved 9 days forward. We're supposed to be moving 11 days forward. But it looks like that this event is late, but it's not as late as previous years. The year before that was October 25th, 2013, the 7.3 Japan quake. Late again. That was supposed to happen 2 to 3 weeks earlier. So the 179 days, the fact that we have less than 188 days from the backside alignment to our crossing event, that's more evidence that the old model predicting a May 20th, 2016, that, well, gives it a little more validity. So I'm just, again, I'm not warning that something's happened in 2016. The repulsion model says not till May 2017. I realize that. There's no reason to jump up and down yet, but when I get down here a little bit lower, then you're going to kind of see what I mean. Now, what I did for this time is give you a comparison between the week 1 of 2014, that was in the beginning of January, then last year, 2015, the cycle started later. Notice the dates, the difference in the dates. This year, it starts later again because of black star leftward movement in the orbit diagram. It takes the Earth longer to come around in winter orbit to meet the reach the same position, but look at the values. Here's my sub 200 value that I've been looking for. Why is it popping up now? We had 176. This number goes down when the investigation started to 146. We're seeing a year-over-year jump. That's going up, but it's only been like 4 or 5 quake jump. Pretty consistent. So does this mean week 1 should be sitting here and the black star has moved way farther left in the orbit diagram than I think? Maybe. But the way I see it right now, there's only a 10% chance of that. There's a 90% chance right now, which I was saying was a 100% chance 2 weeks ago, a month ago, for the repulsion model. But now there is a smaller chance that that older model might be correct. This is some of the evidence pointing in that direction. So look again, the new volcanic eruptions, they all took place, every single one of them this time, along the area. Let's come over here and look at earthquake 3D. The northern magma wave, now remember this wave started with the near side alignment event, Nepal, 7.8, right over here. And then in May of 2015, we had the record deep Japan quake, 677 kilometers. That kicked off a rash of deeper earthquakes. Let me put it on how deep they are. A rash of deep earthquakes that got into this area. They were 600 kilometers deep. Then they jumped over into South America as predicted. I expect to see more activity through here, but I'm not sure the USGS has given us these quakes in here. That's why there's a dead zone in there. But if you notice, there's a lot more polar activity. South Pole, look at it. A lot more activity there. And when I'm looking at the depths over the last week, I'm not seeing anything beyond 226 kilometers. And I'm expecting these to go back down into the transition zone, 600 kilometers deep, once this earth change uptick period is in full steam. That is in April and May. So that hasn't happened yet. So the thing I wanted to show you, the area where this northern wave stalled, right here, place where this northern wave stalled is where all of this new volcanic activity has kicked off. That's in this area right here and in this area right here. That's how far they made it before they started, before we went into the lull period and this activity diminished. And not only did it diminish in this area, but everything seems to have backed up and backed up. The pressure was pushing all the way against this area, the Alaska quake swarm area, but now it's backed up towards Japan. It's in this area right here. So we should expect to see more of these deep quakes in this area, and then deep quakes here and over here until these two waves begin pushing together again, and then we see more outgassing, the carbon monoxide, later in the timeline. And see the depth of the Alaska quake swarm area here? The depth of what's going on down here? I'm expecting that to come to this area, but not until these two waves come through. That's what we're watching for. So let's get back over here to the newsletter. Now, the magnetic pole migration part. Look at where we are March 17, 2016. This is where we were on March the 27th. This should not be this far down. Should not be this far down the chart. We're supposed to be lagging behind 11 days, 12 days from where we were last year. That's precisely what happened for the entire 2015 cycle. Precisely, that's how this prediction was made for December the 1st, 6 months in advance. That's how it was made, because we just took the 2014 data and figured on a lull of 12 days. That's how it was, and it was right on. We've been able to predict this. But now look at these big giant moves that we've seen here recently. We saw this is smaller move between February 26th to March the 3rd, and it made me think that we were going to be okay. But no, the last 2 weeks, we may see something in the news about how rapidly the magnetic North Pole is moving, because it is moving faster than it was last year at the same time. And it's moving faster than it was just recently. What is the reason for this big move? We did see a move back towards the chart, Because you see I'm off the chart here? I cannot find an updated chart. They stopped providing them at the website. We are going to get back onto the chart because we're going to be coming down in this area, and we should be pretty close. See how these two paths for the last 2 years, very, very close to one another? We should see this coming back in onto the chart and coming around this way. But the fact that this thing is ahead of schedule, this, if my hypothesis is correct about the migrating magnetic North Pole, which for the last 2 years looks like everything's been right on. We've been able to predict what's going to happen rather well and rather easily without much work. This is way too far. This should be the position of maybe March 27th if you back up 2 weeks, but really it's still even too far. It's 2 weeks ahead of where it should be. So the fact that magnetic North Pole, there's a couple of reasons why this could happen according to my thinking right now. One of them is that the old model is correct, that the black star is actually, it's supposed to be in the Libra constellation relative to the sun, but we're looking at it from an angle, so it's going to still be in Scorpio from our perspective. It's retrograding backwards. As we continue to move forward and around in orbit in the solar system, coming around this way, it appears to be going backwards. So it's from Earth's position, it's retrograding. From the sun position, it's always moving left in the orbit diagram. It's Earth going around the sun that's giving our changing observation point. So what's going on there? So right here on March, you can see we should be well beyond the 90-degree angle, well beyond the 90-degree angle. We're moving towards the black star this way. The magnetic portal connection should be shortening. Earth core should be heating up. But if Earth crust is becoming more elastic, because like the rubber balloon, every time you blow it up, it gets a little more elastic, a little easier to blow up. That could be part of the reason that we're seeing the low amount of earthquakes through this coming period. The other reason that it could be is back to the volcanism, back to the tectonic shift that has taken place here in the Pacific Ocean Ring of Fire. So these two waves, if the pressure's building up, then this reminds me of what happened with the seismic chart through this period. So we had the Chile quake in week 34, the 8.3 right here. And that changed things in the Pacific Ocean Ring of Fire so that we had no 6s for 5 weeks. So we had a lull during the Earth change. See the U's here? This is still the uptick period. We're supposed to continue having this uptick period all the way to the backside alignment right here. How do you get, during an uptick period, all these zeros? That's why you see them in red. Something strange happening. And then right after that, you have 5 7-magnitude earthquakes in a 4-week period. So you see the lack of activity and then the jump in activity? That's right here. That could be what we're looking at. So this little trough in the uptick period could be very similar to what happened here just recently on the last, at the end of the last Earth change uptick period. So there's a couple of different ways at least to look at this evidence. It could be supporting the binary star magnetic repulsion model. And it could be that you're going to see more of these red values because the black star is just getting closer and closer. Remember the modeling is, the modeling, it will break down when the black star gets here because there is nothing that's happened in the historical precedent to tell us what happens when the black star is right next to us. It's always been at some distance and getting gradually closer, gradually closer. But when it's here, you can't look back 10 years, 5 years, or 3 years and have the seismic data tell you what's going to happen. It just does not work that way. So when it gets here, boom, everything changes. So this could merely be an indication that the black star is getting closer and closer and closer. So my modeling can just start going everywhere. Generally, when we look back over the year, we should be able to see the uptick and the focus. If you look at the near side alignment event for 2015, right in here, then you see 8 magnitude. Oh, you see 7 magnitude earthquakes. You see 3 of them in 3 weeks. We see 11 6s. And you see the high values for the 5s right here, 36. And then you get this dip. That's kind of unexplainable. Then a 46, that 46 is going to be the high value, right near the alignment. So we should see this same kind of activity as the chart fills in here at the bottom whenever we get to week 13, 14, and 15 of the cycle. We should see the same pattern by the time we get there. And for those that are getting a little nervous about, holy cow, things appear to be off, then if we go back to, let's see, this 2015 cycle, then let's look carefully and like at the 2.54 magnitude earthquakes. Yes, we had the jolt, but then notice that these values went all the way down to 206 in week 6. So the fact that we have a sub, I mean, this is 206, that's below average, and it's during the uptick period, but it followed the jolt. Once values get too high, then they equalize, so they're going to be on the lower the average scale. And that's what we saw happening. They went all the way down to 206 in week 6, and then they gradually started going up again. We're in the 2 teens, and then 240, 244. You see how this uptick is coming, but that doesn't, this uptick here for the 2.54 magnitude earthquakes does not come until week 9. So the fact we have a sub 200 value might not mean anything. That is only, what is that? That's only about 10 quakes less than for the whole globe for the whole week. That's only 10 quakes less than we saw for week 6 last year. So maybe it's no big deal, but we're going to know more soon. So the magnetic pole migration is a little bit disturbing to me, but it's because of the theory itself, the hypothesis that this thing should have the lull. And in my mind, I realize if this thing's moving left of the orbit diagram quicker than I think, the magnetic pole is going to show us that. So I've got that firmly in my mind. And, you know, I hate to say it, there has been a pattern for the last 2 years. This has been pretty regular, but one side of me says that there may be no correlation at all. You know, got to keep your mind open. You think that you're right on these things, but you really have to follow the evidence. Where the evidence leads us is where we're going to go, not necessarily our preconceived notions about what things are supposed to be. So that's pretty much what I want to share with you. You may have to read this a couple of times. It's a little bit confusing. Project supporters for this week include Chris, the only new subscriber to Taro's 2016 newsletter. That is the first time this year that we've only had one. And the average has been 3 or 4. But I'm going to continue providing the free links in the description box. You should go down there and grab that thing right now. So I really want everybody to have the information. And I hope that a few good souls will come along and help to support the research, keep the ball rolling. Like Grant and Steve and Kimberly, they renewed their subscriptions from previous years, and Grant and Steve became super subscribers. They've been here 4 years or more. So they've passed the $100 mark in their research, in their support for the research. So it's $25 per year, added up. Once you surpass $100, then in my mind, you get lifetime benefits. You know, I appreciate that very, very much, whether you continue supporting the research or not. I hope you will, of course. But you guys are getting the access to all my information. Every January, I send out the new Dropbox folder link, and you guys are going to have that information whenever you pass that threshold. Again, I appreciate that very much. And Randy and Mike, they made another nice donation to the research. Thank you guys for that. And just a little reminder here, you can get this update report at planetxforum.com and at bendedreality.com. So if you just Google those, then that's what this link is. This is provided to them. This is already uploaded. It's not obviously the completed version. It doesn't have the link for the video. But this link is already established. That's what this link is for. Whenever you run across this link at Bended Reality or over at Planet X Forum, Planet X News, that's what this link is for. That's your free link to this newsletter, right? That's embedded. And you say, well, why is it free if it's in the newsletter? It's because I send them the Word doc, and then they copy and paste onto their website and place all the articles, and this link transfers over there with them. So if you, for some reason, can't make it to YouTube, you can't get over the radio shows, you get the free link from the chat room, you can go to Planet X News, and you can go to Bended Reality, and you can grab that link. Then very good questions coming this week. What Wesley is asking, he's talking about earthquake patterns and earthquakes on the opposite sides of the planet. You see Dutch Sense talk about that sometimes. And so there's a little bit of commentary here on that. And there's a couple of different ways to interpret that evidence. If this was really happening, I would expect to see a outline of the Pacific Ocean Ring of Fire on the opposite side of the planet. That's just not happening. And I would also expect it to take place with larger magnitude earthquakes. So if you have a pattern, we're talking about 5.5s, 4.7s, and things like that, opposite sides of the planet. Why is it happening from the 4, 5, and 6 range and not happening in the 7 and 8 and 9 range? I would expect it to happen with the larger magnitude earthquakes first, and then a clear pattern of that kind of thing happening, and then less evident, less obvious pattern for the smaller magnitude earthquakes. So I'm thinking that also, whenever you look at this magma wave that's down here, you see where these arrows are coming from? This is the magma wave. So you're getting these earthquakes associated with it. And then where you're pointing down here, this is where the magma wave stalled to the south. So there's going to be more possible answers than there's, and also the fact that the Earth core is made up of iron and magma, transition zone, glassy nature. In my mind, I'm having difficulty figuring out how you're going to get the energy to go through that and remain intact, especially something of nearly the same magnitude. And if we had a 9 on this side and exactly at the same time on the other side, we have a 7 magnitude earthquake, 6 magnitude earthquake, then I could try to make a correlation, because we're talking about the energy from the other side of the planet reaching the far side of the planet. Exactly the mechanics of how that's supposed to work, there's no way that I can build a model that's going to predict that kind of thing. So the jury's still going to be out on that, but I strongly encourage everybody, if you think you see a pattern, then send me the information. That's what I hope every newsletter subscriber and contributor will do. Give me an opportunity to look at it, because you just never know when there's a gold nugget in there. You just never know when you're going to get onto something. Appreciate Wesley and David and Bonnie and the rest of the contributors, subscribers, sending me this information to at least give me the opportunity. It's never a waste of my time. This is great. This is what I do every single day. And see lots and lots of commentary in here. And if you guys have comments, questions, anything like that, then newsletter subscribers, you guys can write me at the Gmail address, and YouTubers, you can write me comments. And non-subscribers, you can always go to Terralo3.com and hit the Contact Terrell button. Don't get there but once a week, but I will get back to you. Also, there's no mention of it here. I just kind of forgot. But there is a new seismic chart. I mean, there is a new Black Star event timeline. I made it this week. I sent everything over to Bill. Said, update the website when you can. That hasn't been updated yet. I'm going to get back with Bill. Maybe he didn't get my email, and try to get that information up for you. And let me see here. Timeline. Maybe I'll give you a look at it in this video. Uh-oh. See if I can find it. Black Star event timeline. It's a JPEG. That's going to be the old one. 3/11/2016. Let's see if this one's it. Aha! You can get a look at it right here. Just freeze and get yourself a gander at it. This is what's going to appear as the new Black Star event timeline. Look over here to the bottom. You'll see that the predicted quake event is 5/7/2016. The crossing event in red right there, that is expected in May of 2017. That's how everything looks today. Moving forward, this should be posted in the coming newsletter, volume 12, and it'll be part of the next Black Star Report video that comes out just about exactly a week from right now. So there's a little look at it, and again, I'll try to get that updated at Terralo3.com. And lots and lots of good information here. Strangelets. You ever heard of strangelets? Lots of commentary here. David wrote me with questions, did a little research on it, and gave my opinion. I'm not very impressed by CERN. I'm not impressed with the scientists that keep breaking magnets, and everybody's worried there's going to be a black hole creator or something like that. That's not going to happen. what they are doing over with CERN, these things are happening in natural environment of our universe. They're colliding things together. It's not like they're talking about they have a generator that is creating these subatomic fields and things like that, which we need for space travel. So we can create our own bow shock. We can divert the subatomic particles from space around our spaceship, not flying right through them with penis-shaped projectiles, calling ourselves space travelers. That's human beings are in the infancy of space travel. Infancy, extremely infancy, sucking their thumbs. Eyes haven't opened yet about getting along in space. The idea they're going to open up a black hole and suck the planet in, or open a vortex to another dimension or something like that, that's craziness. If they, the way I describe it in this article is like a lever. You're pushing on one side and you're getting a result on the other. Yes, you can make a better lever, but the amount of energy that they need to do the kinds of things that you're seeing in the disinformation, the scare tactics and everything, oh, it's CERN. No, the black star is influencing the planet. But whenever you go and look at the scheduling, they turn this thing on and turn it off. They turn it on in March, whenever the Earth change uptick period is coming to its climax. March and April for last year, April and May for this year. That's what they do because they want an explanation for all the Earth changes. Oh, look, CERN did it. Oh, no, if you listen to Dutch Sense, fracking did it. They're giving you different explanations for what's really going on. It's the black star that's doing it. This thing, in my mind, is a distraction to keep you from looking up and seeing the thing coming from space because you think the elite is causing the Earth changes. That's the whole purpose of CERN. In my mind, it's really not going anywhere. It's like the NASA space program. It's not going anywhere either because they cannot overcome the problems of radiation in space. And they didn't do it. And there's two articles, there's one or two articles in here, in this newsletter about the problems of space, the problems of just going to Mars, much less anywhere else in the solar system. And those are hurdles. The reason you saw NASA really scaling down their operations because they cannot, there are centuries for me able to figure that out. CERN is a stepping stone in the right direction to doing that, but they're not even using it for what they should be. They know the black star is coming soon. They just got to keep this, just turn the thing on, break some more magnets, and try to convince people that CERN is causing the Earth changes. That's the way I see it. Why we can't see the black star seen by solar? Really good questions. Why can't we see it? Star wants to know, why can't we see it? So I go into the micro lensing, the gravitational lensing effect, and lots of links here. There's a blind spot in our solar system, the zodiacal light, because of the dust, debris, everything that wants to be right on the ecliptic plane. And this thing is coming in this, from the southern hemisphere, but barely below the ecliptic plane. Just not even a degree below, which means from the northern hemisphere, where most of us live, looking out with the Earth on the plane, we're having to look through the dust, debris, this zodiacal light, to see something that is invisible anyway. That's why I don't believe we're ever going to get a picture of this thing. We're going to have to track it through the Earth changes. Limitations of ground-based telescopes, things like that. Really good article, I think. Then there's a lot of good information on the overdue quake in California. You're going to hear more and more about this. Cascadia, that kind of thing. I'm still watching for that northern wave to pick up steam. It has not done that yet. We're seeing signs of the volcanism. We're seeing signs that it's clearing its throat, but you'll know it. I'll be reporting on it whenever that stuff kicks off and we see what we're supposed to see as far as signs. Then, yeah, this some political stuff that's in here. I hope you guys are on the Trump train. I have not been involved in politics ever. Never. And the idea of sticking the thumb in the establishment, I am really angry over all the illegal aliens running around everywhere, taking jobs from Americans. What about the employers that are hiring them? Are they are they going to get amnesty too? Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986 makes it a felony to hire an illegal alien. And just transporting illegal is a felony. You're not supposed to be doing that kind of thing. So we went through this for years. 5 years it took to hammer out that deal, and then we were supposed to have the checks at the workplace, and all that was thrown away, and now illegals are just piling in because our Congress is filled with a bunch of liars and a bunch of, what's the establishment? So stick it in there. Trump is going to stick his thumb in their eye, and that's all I care about. Trump may destroy this country. Who knows? I don't know. But stick it to the establishment and burn the establishment down, and let's start over. If Trump turns out to be a good guy, he finds out about 9/11. The evidence is in the FBI right now to prove, the documents prove 9/11 was an inside job. Is he going to get there? He's already been pointing fingers at Bush. Is that possible? That's what the establishment is afraid of, is all of these lies they've been telling us being exposed. They need an establishment candidate in there. So, give you my little rant. I live here in Florida, and seeing Trump beat the crap out of little, I know I sound like Trump, right? Using some bad language. Little Rubio, and he's my senator. I can't stand him because of the Gang of Eight thing. Here he's trying to reward illegals for taking my job. I was a long-time vested journeyman bricklayer, a real good one. And I remember the day that the illegal alien crew came and took our jobs. I remember the day that it happened. I'm never going to forget it. Our boss had to lower his prices to below cost, and he said he couldn't do it. So he says, okay then. And he's going to get somebody else in. And we had already set up the slab. We're laying blocks, just building houses at the time. I'm normally more of a commercial bricklayer, helping a friend out. And no kidding, a crew of Mexicans comes in. They start working on building a building that the house that we set up. We already had the blocks all set up and everything. And we had to leave whenever we were done with this existing building. The guys couldn't even speak English. Really upset me that day, watching my friend go out of business because of illegal aliens. Because nobody's enforcing the law around here. But you know what? I don't blame Trump for hiring illegals, because everybody else he's competing with in the marketplace had to hire illegals. That's the way it is if nobody's going to enforce the laws. That's the way that it's going to be. But now I would rather him have the experience so that he knows how to police what's going on. All this comes down to enforcing our perfectly good immigration, employment, and document fraud laws at the workplace. It is that simple. Once you enforce it at the workplace, the employers put the employers into jail for hiring the illegals, take their business licenses, and every other employer in that market will get rid of their illegals and start hiring the Americans back. Put Americans back to work. Millions of Americans back to work. And the employers are going to have to pay more than they're paying these illegal aliens, right? And that helps support the system. That brings in real income for our government, because illegals working under the table, working for cash, displacing Americans from jobs, is not paying taxes that we need for improvement and things like that. So Trump gonna be a good guy or not, I don't know. But I sure like what I'm hearing, and if he does come through with that, which I would be kind of surprised, then here's a good, then I'm going to be excited about it anyway. Okay, enough on that. This little story here is kind of interesting, and it's talking about plans. I've seen this story before, but whenever you look, go to the video, go to the description box, then you're going to see some disturbing things of what the plans for the near future of what they're expecting, and it includes bad things happening for Americans. The radio show I'm about to do here at 4 o'clock will appear right here. You'll see at 3:17. It's not there yet. I haven't done the radio show yet. So if you download this before 6 o'clock, let's say, then you're not going to see the link. But if you will download it again after 6 o'clock, then you'll see the 3:7. If you missed my radio show coming on at 4 o'clock, Revolution Radio, then this is your opportunity to stay updated. And with that, then let's see, I showed you the solar system, where we are in the solar system, in the cycle, moving towards the Libra constellation. You've seen the earthquakes, and there is really not a whole lot of activity. Not nearly as much as I thought there would be, but you can see the depth of these earthquakes. The pattern is still there. So I pretty much now showed you. I want to keep these around a half an hour. I don't want to go into 40 minutes. I don't have to. And I will see you guys on the radio over at the chat room at Revolution Radio, or I'll see you on the next Black Star Update Report.